let me know. Okay? Okay, Paniotis, thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I appreciate that because we want to make sure everybody can hear us before we start. As you know, what happened this morning, I woke up to it, as I'm sure all of you did too, is the Israelis and the U.S. Struck Iran. Everybody kind of knew that was coming, except for one of the analysts, Ray McGovern, didn't think this was going to happen. If you actually watched his video on that, but it happened, and so what that shows is that this fulfilled, particularly Elder Joseph of Vatopudis' prophecy on that. I want to show some updates on what's going on. I do have some notes on that. We have the first one, and let me see if I can actually get this to work because I haven't done this in a while, but let me go do that, and I will bring up what I need to show you here. Yeah. There it is. Entire screen. Yep. And okay, and then let me see if you all get this. Okay, so what we have here is this is a report from yesterday, which shows that, as you know, China actually had 16 big planes. A few months ago, they brought in all kinds of equipment to Iran. Now, this was from yesterday that they had sent attack drones to Iran, as is discussed ballistic missile sales. As it's understood, they have both offensive and defensive weapons that they have given to Iran. Okay, and then, as you know, Russia has a pact with Iran. So far, Iran is holding its own, which I kind of knew they would, but that's probably because they learned from the 12-day war on what they need to do. So that's what's going on there. There was a message. Most people, and what were they saying? You can share what most people say.
Yeah, the UN was there was the UN, the Red Cross, and a bunch of other countries. I mean, it's funny because they all come out with these statements, and there was a few that were like openly condemning the acts from Israel and the U.S. But for the most part, it was just a very strong urge to halt all escalations and to go back to the table for diplomacy and things like that. Basically what you would expect people in charge to say. It's nothing surprising, in talking about how it brings instability to the region and and I'm like, and of course I'm thinking, well, I mean, that's kind of the whole point. Israel and America are doing this is for instability, but
yeah. And then of course Russia, I heard Maria, and I can't pronounce her last name, but she's like the spokesperson, and she did say that they condemned the attack. They thought what happened with the negotiations was not good, which of course, did we really think that was going to be different from the last time? The last time, what happened? They were negotiating the same way, and it was just before the weekend, and they were going to meet again on Monday. And that's the same exact thing that happened this time. So I think the Iranians knew that this was probably going to happen because of the last time. So that is what happened on that issue. Again, this is my son back here, in case somebody is wondering, who's this person? It's my son. My older son. I have another son. I have two sons, but this is my older son. So we all know the international countries, the countries, most of them have condemned, I mean, at least part of them have condemned the actions of Israel and the U.S., as you said, and then they want, come to peace. So we know that. I'm going to show, let's see. Now, also, It's not up right now, but I had the RT News live feed going, and they showed four different views of certain areas that are getting hit by Iran's missiles. So, as you know, from the beginning, that they hit Bahrain, and by the way, I have a subscriber, a dear subscriber, JC, who lives in Bahrain with his family. He can hear the bombs. He's not very far from them, so please pray for him and his family. And there's also a Orthodox sister in Qatar who's a nurse that Kyriaki asked me to pray for. So if you all could pray for her, I don't know her name. I know JC asked for the name. Hopefully, she will provide it at some point. I'm sure her time zone is way different than when I'm on. Okay. Um, four pictures. So as we know from the beginning, Bahrain was hit. The UAE was hit because of our bases there. They're targeting the bases. Iran is targeting the bases, and then there was let's see, Qatar, Bahrain, Kuwait, and then the picture they had on RT was Kuwait, Qatar, and Jordan. Now that's a pretty big deal right there because Jordan hadn't been touched before that, but we have a base there. So that's a real issue. They have been they've been hit. Whatever base we have there has been hit. Okay. Um, I would not be surprised if Saudi's bases aren't going to be hit at some point. There's the Iraqi base. Also, I haven't heard that they've been hit yet, but judging by how things are going, it probably is going to happen. Most of these bases are evacuated, so there shouldn't be too many personnel, if any, in certain areas. I don't know if all of them are really. I don't. All of this is so new. They have so many things that come out in the news. You don't know what's true or not when things like this are happening. So, like we heard stories from Israel and I forget the other Reuters were saying that the Ayatollah Khomeini was killed because they were doing a regime change war. Okay, that's what it turned out to be, which we all kind of knew. There's no confirmation on that. We don't know what's going on now. I had read there was the son-in-law and the daughter-in-law of the Khomeini that were killed. Again, not sure, not sure. So another thing that's important is that let's recall that we kept here in America, we kept saying, oh, help is coming. We're going to help you out, Iranians. Yet at the same time, they bombed two elementary schools of girls' schools, children, little girls. I think Israel initially did that bombing, but America is backing this, and why should we be surprised with what's happened in Palestine? So,
Well, if I may,
yes, go ahead.
I just wanted to say that they're like, well, we don't know if Israel or America did it, and I want to say, well, who cares? Because both of them are involved. One is complicit, and one did it. So, I mean, as far as it concerns me, both have blood on their hands, and both need to. I agree with some of the countries that had addressed this, really condemning really us and Israel to be the first ones to back down, because of course we were the ones that started it. And of course, they urge for Iran to also not go off the rails, either, fly off the handle, because then, that will make things worse. So, but there is this whole sense that it's this, again, there's too much finger pointing on who did what and what did, and whatnot. But I'm more concerned about the bigger picture. It happened. We know it happened. There's only one of two people, or I should say countries, that we know that could have done it. So,
Yes. I just want to remind you all, when people say, oh, you need to stop this war, I don't think there's a very, very good chance of this because of two things. We have Israel through Netanyahu this is their last chance, they say, to do this while they have a pliable, very pliable American administration that's doing what they want. And they want the destruction of Iran and to continue their Greater Israel project. I don't know if you heard, but the former Prime Minister of Israel was talking about once Iran's out of the way, then Turkey's next. And that's another important piece we should talk about. And then for Iran, this is an existential threat to their livelihood. So the thought that this is just going to stop is not likely. And as of course, through prophecy, we know that that's not exactly how it's going to happen. Okay, let's see what we say here. White Lightning. The Shah was friendly to both Americans and Christians. Putting the Shah back will greatly help Middle Eastern Christians. You mean the Shah's son? Are you talking about? Because I don't know about that. I don't know. But I do think that it's up to the Iranian government to decide who they have and their people to decide who's in, not a foreign nation.
Well, it's like I learned in comparative government in high school. We've already fiddled around with overthrowing, the leadership in Iran before, and I really don't think we should be doing that again. I kind of stand by the whole belief that each country must situate out its own problems, because chances are anyone who's outside of that will not understand all the nuance or the complexities of the situation. And, it's very easy to point out problems and come in guns blazing and thinking that we're the heroes. But I don't know. I think it takes very careful discernment, because too many instances in history, we do this and then things end up worse than they were before. So I agree more with, China's whole, message on this is that, Iran is a legitimate leadership. It is seen as a country. It does have a leader. It does have all these things. It must be recognized. It doesn't matter if you like it or not. The point is that's what's in power right now. If we want to be fair, look at all the horrible things Israel and, other countries have done, including America. Yet, we're still allowed to be recognized in the UN and all that. I think that's fair. Every country has its own problems and things. And, we could all point fingers about, well, you do this and you do that and blah, 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 blah. So.
Okay. White Lightning says, yes, the son of the Shah will be the new Shah who has a recovery plan to form a reasonable government. The Iranians are very educated and can make a modern government work. Yes, they also do vote there for their governments, their people. But I don't know what's going to happen with Iran as far as their government goes. As far as I don't think they're going to totally be obliterated. I can tell you that. It's just too big of a country, and it's got defenses. But there is one Cyprus elder that said it was going to be obliterated and wiped out. But none of the other prophecies say that. So I would just say that it's that the way I understood that this is not going to be good for anybody. This Middle East war is going to blow up, as Metropolitan Yafet has said. I want to remind you about the Turkey issue that the former Prime Minister of Israel said. I can't remember his name. Naftali Bennett, I think. He had said, "Oh well, Turkey's next because they're on the way." Well, we already knew that because of what's going on in Syria, right? Between them fighting over the portions of Syria. This was what Metropolitan Yafet has said would happen. There would be this. They were going to use their connections. Izzy was going to use their connections with Greece and Cyprus. You remember that video I did. So that's a reminder on that issue. What I want to do also is explain. Oh, hold on. Mount Lithia. Okay, you said I'm Greek and my wife is Iranian. They are very happy. They wanted him alive to face the consequences, but we both agree that it's better left to God in God's hands to cast judgment. Yes, that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you. Thank you all for putting in your comments and your thoughts on this. I think it's really important that we share our understandings of what's going on, because this is really very sobering and concerning to all of us, I would assume. I mean, like I said, there's people in the region that we have to pray for. We don't want innocents to be killed. I mean, I know war does that, but we definitely don't want that. So I want to show you the two prophecies so that we're up on saying that these two, and I want to tell you why I think this is interesting, because there's two prophecies, and I believe both of them have been fulfilled, and I will explain why. So we're going to go to the first one. Okay, let me bring it up. Let's see if this comes up. All right, so the blood moon one. Now remember, if you recall what I said, I thought, oh no, just in the last Iran video, I said, oh, that hasn't happened. That won't happen until next week, right? That's the next blood moon, the third or the fourth. Yet there was one in September, as Christopher from the Holy Wisdom Channel said. September 2025, there was that blood moon. So I'm seeing it as that was the actual blood moon that kicked this off, because remember, there's many prophecies that have been fulfilled. He says right here, after the red moon, that's Elder Basilius. After the red moon, it will all begin. Everyone will see it visible on the horizon. As the sun rules the day, the moon will burn crimson like flame. He warned, then the decision makers must be prepared, for it is written that the godless will invade the island and innocent blood will be shed. Now he's talking about the island. Obviously, he's talking about Greece. Okay, what's going on with the Greek islands? That's another thing that there's so many different points to this, but the first thing we noticed happened, remember, was it was in June 2025 when the first time Iran was nuclear sites were hit. Now there was a specific elder that I think it was Theodore that made that prediction and that prophecy, that one alone. Okay, that happened. Okay, so that was the first thing that we noticed. Oh wow, okay, this is happening. Then the blood moon in September. This now shows, okay, we have that next move of, and now I've noticed that most of these things, when they've been told to happen, especially with the unnamed elder, seem to happen within like 6 to 8 months after he's been saying things. According to Christopher on his channel, Holy Wisdom, he had explained that. I really believe that. So this one, if you say September, yeah, almost 6 months for this next move. Now, also, I mentioned the 65 highway. That hasn't quite been completed yet. That's supposed to be completed between April and June of this year. That highway is connecting to the Ignatia. You remember that's the highway, the road that NATO is going to take later on in this World War III battle. So let me go. Oh, let me see if I got everything here. Yeah. Let me go to the other prophecy, which was Elder Joseph's. And let me bring that up. Let's see. Okay. All right. So in this one, he has the 7 phases of war. Phase 2, if we look at that, an attack by America and Israel against Iran is imminent. So if we go by what Elder Joseph says here, we are in phase 2. Phase 2, people. So what does it say other than the attack on what that's happening right now? This has been fulfilled, okay? But then after that, it says, but war will also break out in our neighborhood. He's talking about Greece. Albanians, Croats, Bosnian Muslims, Americans, and a few NATO members against the Orthodox of Russia and Serbia. And then in Greece, the government will fall. We'll go to new elections. And then that's when the junta, that's when Turkey, when Erdogan is out and the new radical group is in. Okay, so what we need to see is it goes on from there, but it talks about Russia coming down, and then the issue with Turkey and Russia and their and it says it actually happens then. So are we actually in phase two? And how long is phase two? We don't know the time period for each of these items, right? My Izzy fatigue is real, y'all. Robot mechanic says, yeah. Yes, it's getting tiring that we're fighting their wars for sure. So this is an important piece here. If you look at phase two, I think that's what we're in right now. And, you know, according to St. Paisios, there's the two halves. There's some others that say this as well. This is the first half, I think. I know Christopher from the Holy Wisdom channel said that he thinks possibly that the Russia-Turkey thing might happen in late August, early September. We don't know exactly, but we're in it now. We're in this phase right now, you all. I know it's hard to believe, but every time I read the elders, the unnamed elders and others, they said, you're going to see what's happening. And as you see, we are seeing what's happening. So anything to add? I'm going to go out of this screen.
I think the only thing that I'm really weighing on is the whole blood moon thing, because that blood moon was only seen on one part of the world, really. I mean,
What was?
Well, the blood moon, it was only in a particular area. You know, I'm not saying that.
I don't know where it was. I thought everybody could see it.
No, because I remember we were talking about that as one of the things that was kind of confusing about it. And, you know, I think it's possible. But one of the things that
people here saw it because they were talking about it here.
I think it was in certain. Well, regardless, one of the point I'm trying to get at is I keep thinking about that part I read in the book, Ultimate Things, talking about prophecies. And one of the things that they warned so seriously about was that these events don't have to happen in the explicit order that they are prophesied.
Right.
They can happen in any order. And
yes, good reminder.
And that doesn't mean they're not true. It just means that, you know, events can unfold in whatever manner they want to. And so it's not wise to lock into a particular sequence. And when it doesn't happen, we think, well, we're not really in it. Well, we could be, you know. That's why I'm cautious about maybe that was the blood moon. Maybe it wasn't. Maybe this upcoming one is the one. And that, you know, because it would be around the time all these things are beginning to escalate and start.
That's true.
So I'm just saying I'd rather be kind of open-minded about it rather than going.
Oh, yes. Because we never know in what order all this stuff is going to really happen. We know that World War III we are in that. We just don't know how everything's going to come together on what happens first and second and third. Now that Elder Joseph thinks, I don't know. I doubt he said, these are my 7 phases. Okay. I think they were just put that way so people can understand and can kind of get a grasp of things easier than just throwing out a bunch of information. So in any case, that has been fulfilled. The imminent strike. Okay. The Elder Theodore's prophecy has been fulfilled, as Metropolitan Neophytus has said. Okay, I would really like to see something updated from Neophytus, really, to see what he's thinking. I mean, he told us about this, but you know what I mean. Hi, Anne. Seems the writing is on the wall. Well, yes, it is. So that's what we have now. I watched a few. Hello. Yes, it's good to see you. I watched a video. We watched a video earlier with Scott Ritter. He was on the Judge Napolitano show. And I might want to show you. I just wanted to show you a part of this that was very moving to us. But I think it really talks about how war is and what's happening. And I think it's important for me to put that out. So I'm going to what happened was the judge basically showed him the video of President Trump talking about, we have to take out this wicked regime and take out it's the same thing we say for the past several decades. It's the usual mantra we put out there, right? So let me bring that up because he's going to respond on what he had said. And I think it's pretty important to listen to. I bring it up here. I wonder if I'll have sound for this. I hope so.
We have deployed so much military force forward that we have no choice. We have to use it or lose it. Either use it in a given window or it has to start going back home. And once it starts going back home, to bring it back, you wouldn't get it back there till the summer. And that's right before midterm elections. And the peace president can't go to war, an illegal war of aggression in the summer. Even if you win, the fallout would be he needed to deliver a military victory by the end of March that he could then package to the American people as, I am the man, peace through strength. I am the peacemaker because I destroyed that which could not be destroyed for 47 years. And he could carry that through the summer and hope that that helps push him over the line in November. What he realizes now is that it literally is all over. He is going to lose the midterm. He's going to be swamped in the midterm, and it's finished. And Judge, if I might, just for a second, this man is talking about striking targets to defend Americans and all that. I've been to war. In the Gulf War, I was involved in targeting, and one of the things that we did is we targeted a place called the Amaria bomb shelter. We knew it was a bomb shelter, but we had good intelligence that said had been converted to be used as a national level command and control facility. To be exact, just so the people understand what I'm talking about, we were hunting Scud missiles unsuccessfully. Israel was ready to get involved in this war, and we had to prevent Israel from doing that. In order to do that, we had to show that we were seriously hunting down Scud missiles. We believed that the command and control for the Scud missiles were being carried out by Saddam Hussein. And Saddam Hussein used a system called the Mark 14 radio telephone. It was made by Siemens. It was an encrypted radio telephone system with a unique signature, unique frequency ranges, etc. And we had detected the Mark 14 signal coming from antennas associated with this bomb shelter. And we had reason to believe that the Iraqis had located senior command and control in this place. And so, we reviewed it. There was no indication that it was being used as a bomb shelter. I helped pick the impact points, and my job was, when the mission strike came back, to look at the photographs to determine whether or not we did it. And I know that we had to put 2 GBU 28s through the same hole to achieve the result. And we did it. We destroyed it. And I signed it off as destroyed, and I was feeling pretty good. A little while later, CNN came on, and we found out that we had hit a bomb shelter and 408 women and children were dead, killed. The most horrible kind of death. When the first bomb went in, it created fire that trapped them. Neighbors could hear the women and children screaming, trying to get out. The second bomb came in, ignited, and it boiled. The firefighters are putting the water in, and all of these bodies got turned into fat. That's what happened there. And there's not a single day, that doesn't haunt you. It haunts you for the rest of your life. We have hit 2 children's schools. We have bombed 2 children's schools. 63 dead children, girls, little girls dead. Their mothers waiting for their daughters to come home. They sent their daughters to school on the belief that there wouldn't be a war because there was diplomacy going on, that there wouldn't be a war because Marco Rubio said he was traveling to the region on Monday. So they sent their girls to a school. The girls were in school, and we bombed it. And we bombed another one. There's 100 girls buried under that rubble being dug out now, girls that will not survive. This is the horror of war. But what I'm trying to say is, at least when I was involved in the bombing of the Amaria shelter, we did our damnedest to make sure that it was a military target. We were wrong, and it haunts you forever. What in God's name could lead us to bomb 2 girls' schools? I'm involved in this. I did this for a living. I know you don't make those mistakes. This is the sloppiest kind of targeting possible. This is what happens when a military is told you must sustain a strike, you must hit certain numbers of targets, and they're given artificial metrics to meet, and so they're desperately looking for anything, and they bombed 2 girls' schools, killing scores of young little girls.
Yeah. Yeah. When we first saw that, we were in tears, crying. It's hard to get through that because it's very upsetting. But, that's what happens in war. Sometimes mistakes are made like that, as he said, but he doesn't understand why this happened when it didn't have to happen. Unfortunately, 100% was Scott. Yeah. Exactly. Oh, hi, Kiriki. It's nice to see you. Oh, could you tell me what your the Orthodox sister was in Qatar, the first name, so that we can pray for her? That would be helpful. But yes, it's very upsetting. He does go on to say, Trump, put your son on the front lines. How many times do we hear, these people who have all the money and power, they don't put their kids on the front lines, do they? Hermoine. Okay. I will put that in in that post so that people can pray for JC and Hermoine and all that. Okay. Thank you so much. So this was something I wanted to share because it's important. Sometimes we forget about the human side to this. And so hear me on. Hear me on. Okay. See why the first week of Lent has been so intense. Yes. I thought, we thought about that. I was telling my son that. I said, first week of Lent,
No, I'm not surprised. But, the thing that I was thinking about and why it hurt with the schools and these children that are roped into the consequences of these people who don't think about what war does to the civilians. It's one thing for the soldiers. That's bad enough. It's a whole other thing with these innocents that are dragged into it. And, Trump saying, oh, we were trying to help, these Persians and help them, from this regime and yada, yada, yada. And I say, helping them by bombing their children. Mm-hmm. How is this helping them? Where is the compassion? I'm fine with saying that you're concerned about a group of people that are undergoing certain things. I think that's fine to discuss. But bombing and harming people and dragging them into the horrors of war is a whole entire matter that is quite extreme and must be carefully looked at and avoided at all costs. And yet, here we are, dragging more people into the horrors of war as if it just does not matter.
Yes, and I'm sure some of us probably have military in our families. We know that they're out there somewhere in harm's way. My nephew, my sister's stepson, is in the Army. He went into the Army. I think he's trying to become a ranger. His name is Michael, if you'd like to pray for him. I think he was stationed in Germany, but I don't know where he is right now. So if he's still there or whatever, or what's going to happen. So if you wouldn't mind. Kiriki, I'm concerned about the state of the souls of the aggressors. Yes. I feel like Satan's having a field day in putting people in these positions through influence. I really do. And it's very frightening. Now with Trump, I heard Larry Johnson say basically he feels he might have been given the wrong information. I don't know, but that he was kind of duped into it or tricked into it. I don't know. He's kind of disappeared the past 8 hours or more. I'm sure he's not happy. Maybe they told him it was going to be much easier than it really was. Although I know top Pentagon people, according to what I heard through the analysts, they told him it wasn't really a good idea. Although the one that actually did say that was fired, which does not help, Listening to this as I drive to Vespers, thank you for providing us with such a great opportunity to hear these things that are unfolding in front of us. Thank you, JPUL 92. Yeah. Yeah, it's good to be getting to church as much as we can. Um, I want to get more in the habit of doing the akathist. I think that's important as well. Um, at my prayer corner, it really makes a difference. So, a lot of things going on, but I think what Scott Ritter was trying to say is he's been through it, and they don't want to go to war. People who have been through that, they don't want to go back in as easily. Okay. And so he's basically saying all these people who have all the money and the power and they can sit back, which has always been the case. That's just how it's always been. Okay. They don't put their children in there. They let all the other people's children, the masses, the average citizens, the peasants, whatever you want to call them, they're the ones that pay. And as he says, as Scott says, that they're not going in there. There are some that go in obviously for patriotic reasons and all that. They have good. They do that because they want to do that. Then there's others that just go in because they want to finish their schooling. The college. The good college you can get through military. So there is a lot of things. And I'm in Colorado Springs, and there are 4 bases in Colorado Springs alone. Okay. There is one very large Army base. And then there's, what's the 4th one? There's Peterson. There's the Space Force is here out there in the kind of out by itself in the east side of Colorado Springs. And then the other base, there's the Air Force Academy. So we're loaded up and we have Cheyenne Mountain there, with all the antennas, the big mountain where everybody's under there, and they have all the underground tunnels and everything, that NORAD is in. So we're in this area where all of that is. So yeah, we run into military all the time, of course. And she's okay. So Kiriaki says, Hawaii too. Lots of soldiers and families in our church. Glory to God. Okay, yeah. Oh, you're in Hawaii? I didn't know that. Okay, yeah. There is a lot. I mean, as well in our churches as well here. The only issue is that we would lose parishioners off and on for a while because a lot of them were military. Then they would transfer. So it's like back and forth on keeping people. Oh, they're visiting the Theotokos. Well, Anne says, well, things could change fast, and really how long? Well, the thing is, they always say when you go in war, it's never how you planned it. Things happen that nobody can imagine or can control. It's just the way war is. Oh, you're just visiting. I see. Okay, Kiriki. That's nice. That's the problem with these wars, is it never is as it said. I would like to see what Colonel Wilkerson says later on. I haven't seen him on yet, but I would like to get his take on this. So that's what I have right now for you. I know if I bring up RT, the latest thing RT was showing was the UN Security Council that came together at noon, I guess, to try to work through things. So I don't know.
Well, that was called by Russia and China, explicitly.
Right,
so.
right. Let me see if I can see what's going on. They're just interviewing people right now. I'm not seeing it. I'm not seeing anything right now that is particular to share in that, at least on their live stream. I see that the Izzy Prime Minister, or the Minister of Defense or Foreign Minister said something like, "Oh well, we have to declare an emergency." Yes, well, you're the one that started this. What? I just, and then I did see a report that they're telling their people to go into bomb shelters or not to go into them. There's these mixed messages, so the people are kind of like, "What's going on?" There's innocent people there too. That don't. Yes. Just terrible. It's just terrible that.
That's what I was getting at before, is, it's not just the Persian people, it's all the people in the Middle East and in Israel and such. I mean, all those people matter. It's
Hmm.
not like they have the power to make these decisions. They're just along for the ride, so to speak.
Yeah.
And what do they have to do? Then they have to flee their homes, lose their
Yes.
belongings, lose a family member, lose a child, whatever. And it's never good.
No.
It's as I learned in school. There's never really a winner in war. It's all just loss.
Well, let's see. Karaoke, you said the merge streaming icon of the Theotokos of Hawaii. Oh, yes, that does travel around. I have seen that. Yes. And you said last night the Izzy Prime Minister was encouraging the people of Iran to go and protest. And everything. Yeah. And then they blow up the two girls' schools, which, I think at this point, I mean, I thought this before then, but I really don't understand how any country can still trust America. We do these negotiations, then poof, we bomb.
Well, I mean, look at what RT had as a tag. I don't know if you caught it, because but I mean, I'm not surprised. Israel and U.S. are saying this was a preemptive strike. Of course, I mean, anyone can pull that. But again, that doesn't. I don't like this, because for me, we're shirking the bigger problem here. It's not about who done it. We're talking about you're making decisions that are dragging people into war. And how is this preemptive? Supposedly, they were saying that those, what was being discussed at the table and these diplomatic relations were going well. Now, all of a sudden, we have to do a preemptive strike. I mean, fine, but you better be proving very concrete evidence as to why. And even then, it's these rash solutions and these excuses or bold claims with frivolous evidence or just unsubstantiated evidence, and it drives me up a wall. So,
Well, I just think that it's evil. It's really plain evil. It's exactly what the devil, the enemy, the evil one does, is chaos, confusion, lies, deception. So I feel like they are in the bondage to the enemy, with what they're doing. Both, whether they know it or not, that's what is happening. In these pretend talks. I only was kind of wondering, and I assume Iran wouldn't have totally fallen for that because they were prepared. But I mean, why would you even bother doing this again with somebody that did that to you the first time? But maybe they're trying to give someone second chances. I don't know. It's not great. Let's see. Anne says, I really do think it will not be the way they want it this time. Well, according to Colonel Wilkerson, and both Colonel Wilkerson and Scott Ritter said if they were Iran and they get to attack the second time, this is before it happened, they said they would destroy Israel. I understand that what I understand is that if the U.S. and Israel are targeting the leaders, the president, because they hit the president's residence, the Iranian president's residence, and Khamenei's residence. I don't know what the situation is on that, who survived, who did it. I haven't heard on that. I think they're okay, but I'm not positive. I can't tell you positively in the quote unquote fog of war, but they're doing that. So how would that? I mean, there's no red lines, the Iranians officials said now. So if their people, their government officials are being attacked like that, do you think that they won't actually try to hit Netanyahu's residence? In fact, I think they actually said they tried that. And then there's the other people in the government as well, of the Israeli government, that they may do that to. Now, where does that put us in the U.S.? Oh, well, we're too far away, because they say, oh, Israel doesn't have or Iran doesn't have the weapons to hit us all the way from here. Don't know. But sometimes when wars happen, this is the thing. You get desperate. You don't know what's going to happen. Things don't go your way. You become more aggressive in a way in your desperation. And I mean, I'm afraid of that happening. And of course, we know that happens in the Great War at the end in Constantinople. People just go crazy. How could you not being around that kind of stuff all the time? Let's see. Let's see. Duns Quintus says, all they do is lie. It's the name of their game. Yes. Well, remember that Mossad whistleblower that I did a video on, and he said that he said this, behind the shadow and covering his identity for obvious reasons. Remember, and his voice was altered. He said that we are the producers, we are the script writers, and the world is a stage. And basically, he's saying that they own the world. So, yeah, let's see. Yeah, political theater. Let's see. Kiriki says preempting what? Evil, yes. Geopolitical, yes. Satan Yahoo is probably in Greece. Well, as Patrick Henningsen said the other day, that when I did my Israel will U.S. strike Iran now or later, I just did that a couple days ago, and here this happened. He said that Cyprus is the elites, the Israeli elites, escape hatch. That was the word he used. And of course, that's the launching pad for the British planes, and because their base is there, and the British planes were doing some hits as well. But
Yeah.
I don't think they have a very big air force or military.
Yeah, and what's with the British sending their fighter jets over to get involved?
They're always involved.
Yeah, meanwhile, most of the world is telling them to tone down things, and what are they doing? They're adding fuel to the fire. It's things like this that just baffle me, and I don't get it.
Well, the Brits are always involved. They never got rid of their colonialist, imperialist mindset, really. So, anyway, that's what's up right now. The prophecies are being fulfilled at this time. We don't know the timetable of how long this thing's going to go on. I mean, for America, I don't think it's going to go longer than 2 weeks. I just heard them say, one of the analysts say, one of the military generals or something said, "Oh, well, we're going to do a quick, blitzkrieg for 4 days, and then we'll be done," which I don't think is going to work. And then they're going to run out of their weapons, within 2 weeks or about 2 weeks. So I guess we'll be out of it. But then if we're out of it, Israel is toast, really. So, and I do believe if Iran does strike Izzy, it's not going to be the holy areas, because there's also the Muslim holy areas there they don't want to hit. So there's the Christian and the Muslim and all that. It's not just us. Let's see. Anne says, just so bizarre. Yeah. Kiriki, one of the large U.S. warships arrived in Greece early this AM. Oh, so they've moved to... Oh, yes. Well, is that the one that's off of Crete that they had the problem with the toilets? That was, I heard about what's happening with the fleet in there. They're not happy. They haven't been home in over 200 and some days. Their morale is not great, which is not a good place to be in when you're about to be involved in a combat or, trades of war zones. So, yeah, that's not a good thing. And so how I understand how the Navy works is that my dad was military. He was in the Air Force for 30 years. So I kind of know, but the way I understand Navy deployments is that they actually are supposed to deploy on their ships for 6 months, as they say, 6 months in sea, 6 months off on land. But they are not happening for this. Is that the General Ford one? I think is that ship. Oh yeah, you say that the Theotokos will protect Greece. Yeah, I'm just saying this particular aircraft carrier. I think it was the Ford carrier, the Gerald Ford carrier. I think. Yeah. Yes, General Ford. Yeah, General Ford. General Ford. Yeah. Well, that's the one that had the problems with their their toilet issue. So that was not great. Yeah, and they're very miserable, as I said, right now, the sailors there. So we'll see what happens, but I do know that Yemenis, the probably the Ansalar are ramping up to join, as well as some other groups. And the Houthis, as they say, they are the problem the US is gonna have about that is that the Houthis can go right over there into the water and just as they done before and start blowing, targeting their boats, their ships. What's gonna happen then? What are we gonna do then? If you get those, because you have these others that could come in. It's not going to be one front. There's going to be others that we have to take into consideration. Yes, consideration. Yeah. So I forget what the other group was. Do you remember? It was the Houthis and some other group.
No. All I can think about is Trump's arrogance and what he was saying. And this one thing that came to mind. Oh, I'm in control of deciding how long or short this war is. Sure. How about you were in control and not having it happen at all? If you were so great and able to do all this stuff, you wouldn't have started it in the first place like you campaigned on. But no, you continue to lie and deceive.
I mean, that's kind of ridiculous to say that because, as we said, nobody knows. The military knows this, but since he hasn't been in the military, he's clueless. But as we said, we don't have any way to know on certain things to control everything. You can't control things when you're fighting somebody else. Obviously, you're not in control of them, right? He really believes that. Yeah, he probably does. Oh yeah, I'm sure. Yeah.
Well, he's going to be in for a rude awakening if Iran decides to do what they feel they need to do.
Yeah. Well, the thing is, people are saying Trump was blackmailed, as you know, by the Epstein files the last time Bibi Netanyahu showed up at the White House. They said he had the files with him because they expunged him from the DOJ expunged his name from the files. But Bibi apparently has his own copies, which is no surprise. I don't know if you saw the Tucker interview with Huckabee, which was
irritating.
It was outrageous. The Huckabee does not sound like he's the U.S. ambassador of Izzy. He sounds like he's the ambassador. He's ambassador for Izzy. But in any case, yeah, that's yeah. So it's not a good. Here's
a question that just came to me.
Because they have the PDFs over there in Izzy hiding.
Yes. But here's a question that just came to me.
Yes. Stuck says, Satan, who is in Berlin? Oh, what's he doing over there? I'm just wondering, is there something?
Every time I look, he's always going someplace. So, but I was going to say, they go on about this promised land and all this, and then they go blowing it all up. They're destroying the very land that they're supposedly wanting. Well, they're secularists.
They aren't really, except for some of those other extremists in there.
If they really cared about this quote unquote promised land, wouldn't they want to take good care of it and not have it burn all to ash?
Okay, I have to say, so Dun Quinta says General Wesley Clark said in 2007 in a public talk that a few weeks after 9/11, his general disclosed to him a classified memo detailing the destabilization of the Middle East and inevitably Iran. Yes, there were 7 of them, and most of them are gone. Most of them have been destroyed, as you know, Iraq, Syria, Libya. They're working on Somalia, and Iran, yes, is one of them. So that's all been planned. This was all planned even before 9/11. If anybody knows, 9/11 it was not the way it's, I mean, it's pretty obvious. It wasn't the way the story says, really. Let's see. He says, Estock says, his plane has confirmed the landing in Berlin a few hours ago. Yeah, well, what is he? He meeting someone with somebody? He says, get him out of my homeland. Hukta. Is that your homeland, Estock? Okay, yeah. Well, they run away in doubt, says Anne. And Duns Quintus says, yep. So, yeah. This stuff has been planned, and it wasn't like something just popped up in the last, year. This has been something planned for a long, long time. Estock says, thank you for your work. I have to hit the bed. Sunday liturgy is soon. God bless from Germany. Yes, God bless. I stay safe there, Estock. As I said, my nephew is stationed there in Germany. God bless you. I will be wrapping up here in a minute because it's almost an hour and it's pretty long here. But I wanted to give you all an update right up front on what's going on. Thank you. And I thought you all should know, just in case you hadn't. I just felt like I needed to do this, to put this out, because it seemed pretty urgent, and it is urgent. As we talk, people are dying, and we need to remember that we need to be praying for them. Ask for God to lessen this, lessen what's happening, and then we'll go from there, certainly. So anyway, thank you all for joining our live stream. And I hope you enjoyed having my son here with me. We talk all the time about these things, and it's just nice to have him. He wanted to be part. He felt like he really wanted to be. Yes. JC, you made it? Are you okay over there still? What's going on? I know it's late there. He says, God bless. May we be led to repentance. JC, did you catch Kyriaki, the name she gave for us to pray for the Orthodox sister in Qatar? Still bombing. The name was Hermione, I guess. Hermione. Yeah. Yeah, there it is. Kyriaki just gave you the name right under your text. Good. Yeah. We're still praying for you. Love from Romania. Yes, we love you over there, brothers and sisters. Stay safe, everyone. Again, we think we're immune to this, but eventually we're not going to be. Okay. And I hate to be this harsh, but we reap what we sow. And our choices affect people and the world. So let's remember that. Okay. Thanks so much, you all. We are so glad you joined us. Love to you all. Stay safe. And of course, I'll be back along with my other videos. I do have one that was nice this morning that was out about an Orthodox community and growth there. So I will continue to give you updates on this. Like I said, breaking news, I come on when I need to at times. And so this will happen even though we're in Lent. Lord have mercy. So you all, thanks so much. Take care. God bless you all. Until next time.